Hi everyone. Dollar is under threat and it looks serious. There are many developments around the world which are currently posing serious threat to the dominance of the dollar. In this video, I am going to emphasize on main three developments which can potentially begin the era of de-dollarization. So stay with me till the end. Recently, Iran and Russia have announced that they're soon going to launch a stable coin which will be called Token of Persian Region, and that will be accepted as a mode of payment in all their bilateral trade transactions. That means instead of Russian ruble and Iranian rial, this will be accepted. And if you just want to know the volume, as of November 2022, their trade stood at 4 billion US dollar. Now, there are certain reasons beyond this which prompted these countries to join hands together and to explore these steps. What's that? Iran was the most sanctioned country till Russia has entered into this picture. Whatever the reasons that has led to this international sanctions on these countries, let us confine our analysis only to the economic repercussions of that. Iran could not even realize the sale proceeds from the oil export, and it had to watch the cash sitting in the banks of the party with whom it has done the transaction because it was knocked out of the international payment system. And when the country's economy contracts and the currency depreciates, obviously the import cost goes up and inflation rises. And remember, in 2022, Iran has recorded 40% inflation. The country which had seen the trade surplus of $6.11 billion in 2019 had entered trade deficit. And Russia's situation may not be so different from Iran because as per OECD, Russia is going to contract by 5.6%, and Russia-Ukraine war has also impacted world economy as a whole, and it has costed $2.8 trillion to the world economy. When the rest of the world watched these countries against whom Western world has imposed a lot of sanctions, they would have definitely thought, what if the same situation unfolds here? It's better to have plan B. This must have led to find an answer to three fundamental, the most important questions. 1. What is required? Whether it is an alternative to SWIFT, because whether it is Russia or Iran, they were first moved out of SWIFT. If you see SWIFT, it is a network of payment messages. So it doesn't receive or send money, it just moves money by identifying the counterparty. In 2022, it was recording 42 million payment messages involving 11,000 financial institutions, and 42% of these recorded transactions were attributed to dollar and 35% was to euro. This essentially implied if the countries were knocked out of SWIFT, more than SWIFT, the countries will take blow. Starting with Russia, which has launched something called SPFS, which is Russian equivalent of SWIFT. The intention was to blunt Western sanction. But China, it has positioned itself strategically. It has come up with CIPS, which is cross-border payment settlement mechanism. Because at some point, China wants to stand as a substitute to US platform as well as the currency. As of now, the main problem lying with China is lack of credibility and trust. If it can fix these trust issues, then this may not be a distant reality for China. The third development is happening in BRICS nations. BRICS had already launched NDB, New Development Bank, where it's promoting the payment in local currencies. But recently it has announced that it is actively looking for the ways to reduce the dependence on dollar. And in 2022 November, there was a report in Financial Times which said in gold market there is a huge buying happening. Actually, there are whales. Usually we know that whenever there is a turmoil in financial market, gold is actually seen as a safe haven. It's also called currency of fear. But this time, it was not any retail investor or any common person who was buying gold, but it was by the central banks of many majority nations such as Uzbekistan, Turkey, Egypt, etc., which also later indicated their intention to join BRICS. Don't you feel that it indicates the fact that the new world order is getting reshaped? Every time Western world has prioritized the self-interest, it is the rest of the world which was paying heavy price. Even this time, when the Fed started increasing the interest rate, there was a flight of capital from emerging market, and most of the countries, they witnessed depreciation in the currency, and central banks struggled hard to stabilize the economy. The import cost was going up, inflation was going up. So for someone else's policy and mistake, the rest of the world was always suffering. When the Western world uses the currency just like its military power, it's quite obvious that the rest of the world also start prioritizing their self-interest and looking for a stable, predictable, reliable mode of payment or the currency. So there is nothing wrong. In financial market, trust and integrity is everything. They say money is what money does. That means if you feel that this money is valuable, only then the value exists. Now don't you think the way that entire world is responding to and evolving with these geopolitical conflicts is deepening the uncertainty around US dollars dominance in the coming days, as well as started reshaping the entire financial system?